Let's bring in our MonetaryMacro.com CIO, Joseph Wong. And Joe, listen, your moniker is the Fed guy. I want to cut straight to the chase with you. Would the better part of valor be for Cook to walk away from this just for the establishment itself?
I think so, and let me tell you why. So the Fed takes its reputation very seriously, right? A few years ago, we've had basically a vice chair, Clarita, two Fed presidents also get pushed out of the Fed, basically because they were doing things that were not illegal, but damaged the Fed's reputation. And so, like James mentioned earlier, now the Fed's reputation is not looking too good right now. Director Pulte has done a great job doing an investigation, and he's found some things that, don't look very good when it comes to Governor Cook. Yeah. Now, I read Governor Cook's complaint yesterday, and what really stood out to me was that she didn't deny any of those allegations. So it looks like they might be true. So in that perspective, I think it might make sense for Governor Cook to at least recuse herself from the Fed for a little bit. And frankly, I'm a little bit surprised that Chair Powell hasn't done much to protect the Fed's reputation. After all, he did move so aggressively against those three other more hawkish members earlier.
And on top of that, he made trading illegal, and many say that's the only reason Joe Biden reappointed him to the job. So he did what he had to do to keep the job, but he hasn't done much since then. You took some heat on a post about this week about China not having an independent central bank and yet not suffering from deflation. This whole notion of an independent central bank, what was really interesting to me is you said it could be good, but it's neither necessary nor sufficient for price stability. I think a lot of people would be shocked by that, or are shocked by that statement.
Oh, absolutely. So I think there's a huge amount of fear-mongering about the potential politicization of the Federal Reserve. A lot of people are looking at this and saying, oh my God, we'll become Turkey. Now, I want to talk about two facts too before we think about that. First off, an independent central bank is a really new development. Now think about England or France. These are good liberal democracies. They didn't have central bank independence until the 1990s. And before that, they had hundreds of years of prosperity. And secondly, in the United States, we've had an independent central bank since the 1950s. But if you look back at our history, we had decades of high inflation during the 1970s. And just a few years ago, we had really high inflation as well. So an independent central bank, it can be good, but you don't need it to get low inflation. And even if you have an independent central bank, you might get high inflation anyway. And that's what history says. Now, there's a bigger point here at play, and that is the president won an election and he has a mandate for change in how the United States runs its economy. Now, the goal here is to reindustrialize the United States, to create jobs for millions of Americans. Now, we're seeing some of that right now, right? Tariffs to protect our industries. We got the OBBA to subsidize industries. We got some maybe different industrial policy. But listen, this is a huge job because our industry has been neglected for decades. It's going to be all hands on deck. And so we're going to need cooperation from the Fed to be able to realize this new economic model as well, especially since it's a really competitive world. I mean, look at China.
Yeah.
They don't have an independent central bank, and they're supporting their industry.
And to your point, central banks are helping governments around the world. They're not fighting against governments. And we are in a war. This is a war to determine whether we remain the preeminent nation in the world. Joe, I could love talking to you. You got to come back soon. There's so many more things I want to pick up. Thank you very much, my friend.
Thanks, Charles.
All right, folks. Hey, drum roll.